This is FM 91.1 WVSU. Andy Parrish here, and we'll get you back to Alan Kepler and the Smooth Jazz Top 20 in just a moment. But right now, we are honored to be joined by one of those Top 20 performers, Lizz Wright, who will be performing in Birmingham next Friday, February 26th. And Ms. Wright, it's an honor to have you here, and thanks for joining us.
Thank you so much, Andy. Good to be here.
Well, we want to get to know a little bit about you, and I have already learned a little bit more than I did, besides listening to your music, which we've been enjoying, but I did not realize that you grew up, you're a Southern lady, you grew up in a small town in Georgia, and I know the church was very influential in your life and your music, and if you can kind of talk about that upbringing and getting involved in music as a youngster.
Sure, Andy. I am a child of the South, and I was born in Hayhire, Georgia, which is just above the Florida line, and I grew up in Middle Georgia. My father was a pastor and a aircraft mechanic. So, he...
That's a wide skill set there.
It's pretty interesting. It meant that some days he was reading me stories out of either, Book of Shakespeare's plays or Uncle Remus stories, and he smelled like an aircraft hangar, And I remember him just having, a really interesting combination of just strength and real tenderness, and now I watch him with my brother's kids, and he just really has something for, early development, and he and my mom are just really interesting, magical people. I think, anything I pull off is a real testament to, how interesting they are. But she's from the more, Waycross, Folkestone part of Georgia, but they're both Georgia folks. And, I love how no matter what I learn or where I go in the world, I still hail from the roots, and it still comes through. So it's really nice to be coming home and to sing for my friends and family.
Well, great, and we look forward to seeing you here. And I did look a little bit at your tour, and I see that in April you're going to be in Cape Town, you're going to Canada, the UK, Germany, so that's some very different audiences, I would assume. Yes,
but I really enjoy it. Music has become a way to have a conversation with the world, and a way to talk about where I'm from, and I really love that I'm finally coming home, as I said, to really thank everyone.
And sadly, sometimes jazz is even maybe more appreciated in Europe, historically anyway, than sometimes it is here in the United States. But that seems to be changing a little bit, and I know you're having a lot of success with this new album, and I want to talk a little bit about that, Freedom and Surrender.
Yeah, Andy, I want to say something about your comment about how jazz and, other deeper roots of American music are more appreciated around the world than they sometimes are here. One of the things also that I find is that the combination of styles, the hybrids of jazz and blues and jazz and Americana, is understood more outside of America, when in fact it's a real reflection of our history and where the lines really blur. And I've just been, raised and taught and influenced and loved by a real myriad of people, and they all come out, all the stories come out through the music. So I'm thankful that even though it's difficult for me to peg myself to a genre, somehow still been blessed to be out here long enough and supported by the people long enough to kind of get away with not having to be, traditionally blues or traditionally gospel, but I get to sing the real experience that I'm having, and I'm very grateful for that, and all of the records seem to reflect that. And finally, I feel like the people really forgive what is viewed by others as eclecticism, and I guess it is, but the history behind jazz and folk music and blues and gospel, they really mix and merge and cross in people's lives. So I'm grateful that I've been able to get away with singing all of it.
Right. And sometimes those of us in radio are largely responsible for this, but a lot of music tends to gravitate toward a pop sound that might be more appealing to a large number of people, and it's refreshing to have someone and hear the type of music that is fused more in our history and that fuses those different musical styles together into something new and innovative.
Well, thanks for saying that, Andy. And, I love pop music. I am the first to say that I have zero problems with it. I need help shopping. I go out in public and, I get overwhelmed by the crowds and how much stuff is on the shelves. And I want some music behind me to, help me just get through, But I also am really grateful for the opportunity to change my life and go back to living kind of long form, to writing letters by hand, to writing songs, to, burning wood for heat and making things by hand and singing from this kind of pace of life and singing to people who want to return to that, for even a moment, And I think there's a really big movement, especially here in Western North Carolina. People my age and even younger are trying to go back to some of the old traditions that have gotten us here, of making things by hand, of wild harvesting, of, communal eating. And we recognize that we are at a point where we have to go back and embrace these traditions and not let them slip away. So I always hope that the music that comes out of me living like this also as a hobby homesteader will encourage everybody who's trying to make that transition to just remembering all the rich traditions and rituals that made us, who we are.
We're visiting with Lizz Wright, who will be performing Friday, February 26th at the Alys Stevens Center. One more question, and I do want you to talk a little bit about your new album. And I know you've credited your producer, Larry Klein, with having a hand in the formation, I guess, creation of this record. And if you could talk a little bit about what it means to have an experienced producer and kind of what their role is into helping shape a vision for an album.
Well, I had a real love for Larry Klein's body of work before he got to me. I think he's made some of the best tribute and compilation records, and I've just seen him. He's a great bassist and a wonderful songwriter, and I've seen him work with so many singers, and I just really, really love his body of work. It's enough to, be a very interesting and varied library of its own. So we wanted to work together one project before and finally got our schedules and everything to match up. And I had a great time. I mean, I really with him as a friend. When we first had our first lunch in Santa Monica, I said, look, I don't have any guarantees, and I already know that you don't have any to give me, but what we can do is have a great process. And I've been wanting to work with you so long that, I want to make sure we enjoy the process, and then I'll do the best I can with the campaign, but we never know, And it was great. He more than understood what I said, and we spent a lot of time together writing, and a lot of time in pre-production. Pre-production for this record took about a year and a half because I did a lot of writing. Most of these songs were really built from scratch. And then the recording process lasted 6 days. It felt slow, but by all, comparison, that was really, really fast. We did 16 songs at Mission Studios there in Santa Monica and just had a really beautiful time.
Well, Liz, I've enjoyed getting to know you, and I know that we were all going to enjoy getting to hear you perform live. And again, that's coming up Friday, February 26, 8 p.m. at the Alys Stevens Center. You can find out more and get your tickets at alysstevens.org or call 975-2787. Liz Wright, thank you so much for your time, and we look forward to seeing you.
Awesome. Thank you, Andy.